Okay, so Zephyr is really good. She's not one of my personal favorites, but I can't judge her on that. She is very strong. She's outdated, but in a very good sense. Her buffing on tornadoes is pretty ridiculous. She has some fun interactions on her 1 with the augment. Her 2 scales infinitely. Um, it's very good. Her 3 is just the most insane survival tool. I've got really nothing bad to say about her, to be honest. But yeah, quickly getting through it. Yeah, the one is Tailwind. Basically, if you're in the air, if you hold the 1, she will hover in the air, just move slightly slower. This helps with her augment because her passive is I think gaining 150 critical chance with weapons whilst in the air. So if you're about to DPS something or shoot into a group, I'd recommend just going quickly into the air. It doesn't have to be like a specific height. I'm pretty sure you can just jump and activate the passive. Otherwise, just tapping the ability will give you this short burst of movement where she turns into like a torpedo. It's very nice for traveling to certain exos or across certain tile sets. Yeah, with the augment, I'm not the biggest Zephyr player, so I'm not sure how all of the tech works on her. I'm pretty certain most of the Zephyr players don't even know how most of the tech works on her, but with her 1 augment, she can stack the 1 damage infinitely pretty easily. I just forgot. There's like a way to remove the timer on it, because with the augment it's 2 seconds upon touching the ground, but there is a way to make the timer disappear, but I just forgot how to do it. But yeah, that can also stack infinitely. You basically just tap 1 and look at the ground, and you will just create a damage scaling nuke that just doesn't stop. The 2 is Airburst. Hold 2 and you'll send enemies flying away. 1 will group them, or tapping them will group them. Tapping 2 will group them, and the damage scales with the amount of enemies that you hit. So another scaling ability. It's very nice. It's just that I felt like I needed a sub-team slot, and all of her other abilities are very good. The 1 is the other valid sub-team slot. Removing 3 and 4 is an absolutely no-go. So basically your choices are between 1 and 2. If you don't plan to use the 1 for movement or the augment, then you can get rid of it. And then you can use the 2 for grouping. I just replaced the 2 for the 2 grouping with Cordon on Nautilus. But anything works fine. Choices, Zarta's Whisper. We're using the Trumna actually because it has a funny interaction, or a couple of funny interactions actually with Zephyr, so breaking it down, Zarta's works really well with Blast, as getting 10 stacks of Blast onto an enemy with the Zarta's bubble on them. I'm also not sure how the interaction fully works, but basically you activate the 10 stacks, and the AoE damage of Blast procs again. So it's insane single target DPS, it's very good clear for trash. If you pair this with tornadoes, which absorb elemental damage and force the enemies around it to take the elemental damage, you can see how that goes very well with Blast Arters. And then on top of this, we're using the Trumna because the ult fire is actually really strong. It's also blast damage, and the ult fire usually charges by getting 5 kills with the primary fire. The primary fire is okay with right buffing. With Zartas and Tornado, it's okay. But a lot of the time you don't need it on Zephyr because the 4 will regen your ult fire if you kill enemies inside of the tornado with your ult fire. It does not work like that on anything else. But basically the enemies that you kill inside of tornadoes with your alternate fire will recharge your alternate fire and just create these never ending, I mean I guess it ends when the entire tile is gone, but it creates a cycle of like, oh, you killed this group, you change where your tornadoes are to another group, and then cast your alternate fire again. Is pretty ridiculous. The damage is very OP. As it's AoE, it's very good versus Acolyte, so you basically don't need to bring an Acolyte killer. Yeah, it's very, very good. The free is Turbulence. Turbulence is pretty ridiculous. It's basically just like invincibility. The way it works is you create this air pocket around yourself, which will prevent certain projectiles from reaching you. Since the air pocket scales off of range, there is some nicheness to it, which will be that negative range will make the air pocket smaller, so any of the bigger size bullets or any AoE will get through to you and hurt you. At base 100 range, most I guess stretch, so 145% range, most things in the game will not be able to damage you. Obviously this doesn't apply to melees at any range, but at 145 you counter most of the projectiles, most of the AoEs and stuff like that. 75 range, so stretch and overreach, you will prevent bombard explosions from hitting you. So yeah, you basically just become immune to everything other than melees. Though since you're doing most of your time in the air on Zephyr, it's not like melees are a particular issue, and there is not many melee units inside of Cascade. So yeah, it's a pretty ridiculous ability. All it needs is a little bit of range and a little bit of duration. The strength is irrelevant for that ability, but then it obviously matters for starters. 4 is tornadoes, and yeah, this ability, I don't know if it's very buggy or just that strong, but basically she spawns tornadoes. I think it's 3 tornadoes if you do not have the augment. If you hold down the ability, they'll create tornadoes that basically don't move, and if you just press it, they'll slowly move around places. But basically, if you shoot into the tornadoes, I'm pretty sure it will deal all of the damage that you dealt to a enemy inside of a tornado to all the other tornadoes, and anything that is a crit will have the initial crit damage doubled. So if let's say you do 20 damage or a crit, the tornadoes around the other tornadoes, except the one that you shot into, will do 40 damage. So you can see how this is pretty nice with her augment, not her augment, her passive, which gives 150% crit chance. And obviously if you stack this with orange crits, that is gonna deal more damage for being an orange crit, and then deal 2 times the crit damage because it's going into the other tornadoes. And yeah, there's a lot of buggy stuff with this, but it's very, very strong. Something you need to know is that you actually don't need range for this ability itself, because I believe the tornado range doesn't affect the size of the tornado, just how far it just how far they travel. So it's not very important. Since they hit a lot, they can prime enemies for you. So you shoot a couple of viral stacks into one tornado, all of the tornadoes around them will also have proc the viral stacks. It will also activate stuff like Arc on Stretch, Arc on Continuity, Arc on Vitality, Arc on Flow. If you shoot into one tornado and another tornado procs it, so basically you can just run Arc on Stretch to gain EPS. And I think that's mostly it. Oh right, the augment. I'm using the augment because the tornado sizes are 50% of their original size, but it really helps for Trumna You don't need to use it for a lot of the other techie stuff with tornadoes, like Kuva, Sobek, Zarta's Blast, with acid showers, but it is very nice. I like using it. It basically just creates 8 tornadoes rather than 3, but every single tornado will have 50% of the size, and it won't CC enemies like the normal one does. The normal version of the fall will pick enemies up and like whirl them around the tornadoes. The small ones won't do that. But I think in general it's a DPS increase with Trumna. I'm not so sure how it would work with other synergies with Tornado. But yeah, basically all you're doing is just casting Tornado on a group, shooting into a tornado, group disappears and repeat. It's very nice for Acolytes as well, because you can just cast Tornado on top of them and shoot anything really into them and it will just deal a lot of damage. It doesn't matter if it's an AoE or not, it will just obliterate anything inside of it. So yeah, Zephyr is very, very strong. I think she's one of the easier level caps to do, especially for new players, as realistically none of her stats are particularly demanding. She doesn't need insanely high strength or duration or range. She has like pretty middling range need, some duration, some strength, and her free does every piece of survival for you basically. Rolling Guard will remove all your status effects and so on. Like, you don't even need catalyzing shields on her as long as you're managing your timer for your free well. And yeah, I think that's all I had to say. This video was recorded on Old Piece, but nothing has really changed. The interaction with the Trumna is still the same. Zephyr has not been changed and hasn't received anything new, but yeah, Zephyr is very, very good. I think that's it. Yeah, just remember, jump for the DPS increase, tornadoes, just nuke everything, the ult fire will recharge itself. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoy the builds, hope you enjoy the gameplay, and see you in the next one.